Hello, everyone. We are going to continue with the economic indicators. We discuss on GDP, unemployment, interest rate, or exchange rate. So now we are going to talk about the inflation. Inflation. A more exact definition of inflation is a sustained increase in the general price level in an economy, or it can be defined as persistent increase in the level of prices. Persistent increase in prices. What this is saying is that if you look at the graph here, you see it is just going up. It is going up. So like the prices are going up, goods and services are getting more expensive. The rate of inflation measures the annual percentage change in the general price level. And in other words, inflation means an increase in the cost of living as the prices of goods and services rises, which what this is showing. For example, let's say this is good A in 2010, and this is the same good in 2011. So you see a slight change in the price level, which is very fast. Is like so. Moving on to the next slide, inflation and value of money. Inflation leads to a decline in the value of money. So whenever goods are getting expensive, services are getting expensive. One naira is, let's say you're using 1 naira or $1 buying a battery for your watch or battery, let's say battery as of 2019, but in 2020 you will only use that $1 to buy maybe you need a cent to increase in order to purchase that particular battery that you used to buy in the previous year. Then looking at the difference is inflation leads to decline in the value of money. Inflation means that your money won't buy as much today as of as you could yesterday. If the prices of goods rise, the same amount of money will purchase a smaller quantity of goods, which is the same example I gave regarding the battery $1 as of yesterday, but the next day or as today, you won't be able to use that $1 to buy the same good that you purchased as of yesterday. So the value has changed. Then types of inflation. We have cost push inflation and demand pull inflation. The cost push inflation is when a rise in prices is caused by a rise in the cost of production, such as higher oil prices. For example, in Nigeria, in order to reduce this cost push inflation, the petroleum companies in charge, which is the NNPC, use its monetary side to reduce or curb the PMS price, which is the petrol price, to from 145 to 103 in order to reduce the level of inflation in the country, to reduce the cost of production. So when production is high, definitely goods will be expensive because the main motive for producers or investors is to make profit. So they have to make the profit. Then the demand pull inflation, which occurs when aggregate demand grow faster than aggregate supply. This is when the demand exceeds the supply. Then cost push inflation can lead to lower economic growth and often causes a fall in living standard, though it often provides to be temporary. Cost push inflation determined by supply side factors such as higher wages and higher oil prices or cost of production. Then going to the next slide, here's the diagram. You see that this is the supply cost because this is the demand. The demand is stable, is constant, is stable. While there's not any shift in the demand curve, but there's a shift in the supply curve from one SRAS 1 to 2 because the supply is very high, while the from Y1, let's say this is where your value of goods that you buy as with this price. Let's say you use $1 to purchase this portion of goods, which is greater than the Y2, but because of the higher cost inflation, or let's say higher inflation, increase in inflation, so the price now you have to pay 2 penny, or you have 2 penny to purchase this particular with lesser amount of goods. Then looking at the demand curve, because even though the price is high, it is change in price, but the demand is higher because there's shortage of that particular good or service available to the consumers. So that's why the, the aggregate demand rises faster than the productive capacity. Then the firms will respond by putting up prices, creating inflation, which is also bad. Cause of push inflation, as we discussed earlier, normally it is caused by higher prices of commodities, imported inflation, higher wages, profit push inflation. If firms gain incurred monopoly power, they are in a position to push up prices to make more profit. Then high food prices. In Western economy, food is a smaller percentage of the overall spending, but in developing countries, it's always a bigger role. That's like we have food inflation. Then higher taxes and excess duties. Excess duties will increase the price of goods. The price will be temporarily increase. Because food inflation could be caused by a rise in oil price or other raw materials. Imported inflation could occur after a depreciation in the exchange rate, which increase price of imported goods. Then we have hyperinflation. This is like the bigger one, which is the worst one. Because whenever your country or an economy start facing or having hyperinflation, it is really bad. So hyperinflation considered to occur when inflation is greater than 1,000%, which is bad. With hyperinflation, money loses its value to so rapidly that nobody wants to use it as a medium of exchange. For example, what happened to Zimbabwe? Zimbabwe have to devalue its currency, and now they are no more using their currency because of how bad it is. Because you use one Zimbabwean dollar to buy maybe one crate of egg. Just imagine million Zimbabwe, million, you're calling millions, you're buying one small crate of egg. That's bad. Then look at the history. In 1920s, Germany had inflation of 100 billion. Then in 1946, Hungary had inflation of 42 billion percent. So this is based on history. So this is the end of the video. Thank you very much.